Yeah, the town I grew up, city I grew up in South Carolina, there were a lot of folks in positions of leadership who, unbeknownst to me over the years, were Kappas. So that is where I probably got my first hint of what it was to be to be part of this organization. And then after that, when you go to college and you have friends go to other colleges throughout, it just turns out that we all started looking at pledging, and that group that I was a part of, we all pledged Kappa. And then we're talking about 6 or 7 folks that pledged Kappa over maybe a 3 year period. So that is how I got into Kappa. It was just from homegrown influences and homegrown relationships that Kappa was the way we chose to go. I did have the opportunity, as other folks have talked about, pledge in other organizations because, as a matter of fact, at my college, you normally the first chance you get to pledge is your second semester, your sophomore year. And if you know anything about Z chapter, the motto is we ain't gonna be around here for long. That means that they're gonna be on campus as much as they're gonna be on campus. And we were not on campus my sophomore year. So, there were other pulls coming in, come pledge here, and I didn't do it. And the when I was a junior, I pledged when I was a junior. But I waited that year and was happy to be a part of the Sinister 14. I was in Germany from 86 to 89, and during that time we had 5 different regions: Kaiserslautern, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Mannheim, Heidelberg, Mannheim area, and then everything down south. And it's a great feeling to be over there and to have over 100 brothers that would come together once a month was a great feeling. But then on another level is something that a part of Elder Watson Diggs found their fought in World War I, and there's a
Yep.
story about him going across to meet other Kappas, these early Kappas. And so what we were doing was a reenactment of that. We had brothers all over Germany, and there we were getting together. It was a great feeling. I will always, you bring up, you brought up Germany, and that's one of those things about Germany that you had the opportunity to, in some ways, recreate what the founder did when he went across Germany to meet with brothers. And then I'm sure, Dwight, when you were there, to have Doc Palmer, who's a mainstay
The
of
alumni
the brothers
chapter.
in Germany. And he wasn't military. He was a surgeon at Heidelberg, at the Heidelberg Hospital. But part of his contract was that each year he could come, he would be off to go to the conclave, and he never missed. He didn't miss conclaves. Just talking
So
about Germany, I have to bring that up, and I appreciate everybody. I think most people have talked about Ron Thompson too. You can't talk about Woodbridge alumni without mentioning Ron Thompson's name. And I say this all the time. I follow 2 creeds. I follow the Apostles' Creed and the Kappa Creed. And I said this at my, if I may say so myself, my 50-year anniversary. But I said, the Kappa Creed to me is not something I say once a month or 9 times a year, 10 times a year at a fraternity meeting. It's something that's it's within you that you shouldn't be reading it, 30 years into the bond. You got to know you live it, and take that as one of those guidelines to being the person that to the question you ask, what does it take for the bond to continue? And you hear me use the term bond more than chapter, because that's what we are. We are bond. That is the ultimate, and the creed is what I use to maintain my cachet within that bond.